one of the things that I love the most, which is leadership. And kind of the way that we typically think about it is we think about how we lead as a professional, and we forget that there's other areas of our life that we have to exemplify leadership and really make sure that we are leading in all the areas of our life, because you can't be a leader in the 9 to 5 if you're not a leader after 5 p.m. So one of the things that I talk about is really what is leadership. And when you break it down is you can't be a leader if there's nobody that has made the choice to follow you. And so one of the things that I do with a lot of individuals, whether you are an independent contractor, whether you have an organization, a giant team under you or a small team under you, you really should be practicing the leadership skills, because the job of a leader is to be able to lead, to be able to push forward the mission of the organization or the mission of the cause. And the only way to get people to follow is really to be able to inspire action in others. And that's kind of what leadership is. How is it that you are inspiring others to follow you, inspiring others to share similar passions, similar drives, similar values, or even the values that really are complementary to each other? You know, I think one of the things that we do as a professional, when you're thinking about whether you're in sales or whether you are in a service industry or just a support position, a lot of times we feel like, well, my role isn't an authority role. And so we step back from using those leadership skills and those leadership abilities because we feel like we don't have authority. But the difference is leadership is not necessarily an authority. What it is just a way to help inspire others. And so you have a question as a leader, and the first thing that you usually say is, what is it that I need to get done? And how do I get others in my charge to do what I need them to do, but for their own reasons? And that's a really big differentiating factor when you are a leader or you're just in an authority position. Because when you have a mission, when you have tasks that need to be done, when you have to get the word out about the service or the organization you're working for, you're one person and nobody in the world expects you to do it all, and you can't. But what you do in the leadership role is you have the gift and the blessing to help others do that mission work for you, but you have to help inspire them to do it for their reasons. And that tends to be a really big challenge because, you know, if I'm as simple as I'm working in an office and I need somebody to do data entry, nobody wants to do that. It's not super fun. I mean, there's probably some that like it. I'm an extrovert that likes freedom and likes to talk to people. And so I'm not a data entry person. However, if I had a leader that needed that task to get done and it was part of a job duty, how do we connect our people to the work that has to be done, or at least help give them or identify what their reasons are for doing the work that we do? And all the time when we work with people, whether it's a customer, a client, another partner organization, we still have to act in that leadership role. You cannot ever turn it off. And so really being able to find out what are the reasons that people are going to do things, people are going to support you, and then help to connect it to what needs to be done. I think one of the things that I was talking about recently with a friend of mine was everybody's virtual right now. And she is in a leadership role. She's actually a manager for the state of California. And we've always been big on leadership. So we have these really deep leadership conversations. And lately she says, everybody's teleworking. Everybody's working from home. She feels disconnected from her team. And she doesn't feel like she has the ability to be a leader because everybody's working independently. And one of the things that, you know, we kind of discussed was this is when you have to be a leader the most. And it's a challenge because you're not in front of people all the time. And typically leaders lead by example. But how do you lead by example when nobody's looking? And so the point here is to always lead by example, because somebody's looking somewhere. And when we have these challenges of working virtually or remotely and we don't get to see each other, we have to think outside of the box. We have to do things differently, but it has to be emphasized, because the small moments you guys have with each other have to be big and impactful. And you have to create inspiration through an internet or through 5 minutes of interacting with each other. And so really spending time to make sure that when you're connecting with people, you have to always make sure that even when you're on Zoom or when you're in email, that there's something that says, I hear you, I see you, I value you, I recognize you, I encourage you, and I support you. And when you are interacting with each other that way, it's so easy to forget those pieces because you don't have 8 hours throughout the day to sprinkle it in. And so when you're setting up your Zoom calls, are you setting aside time that says it's not just about the work, because I still need to recognize you as a person. I still need to value you as a person and to do things that are out of the ordinary. So this individual, she was talking about, she has a staff person that is going out on loan to another department. And she felt like she wanted to do something, but she didn't know what to do. And it's hard because it's not like the team can get together and go to lunch. And I said, we talked about some ways that she could help to still be a leader, to inspire and encourage that person as they leave into a new challenge. And then also to inspire the team by saying that she still values and recognizes everybody individually. So she created this little platform where she had all of her people send video messages to the person that was leaving and just saying, we can't wait for you to come back when you're, when this, project's done, we're going to miss you. But what it did is, she's not a very video person. She hates the videos, but that was the whole point of it. It was uncomfortable for her in an effort to bring somebody else comfort. And so when you are in these areas professionally, sometimes it's what are you willing to do to be vulnerable and to be uncomfortable so you can help to inspire others by saying, I'm willing to do things to try it just to make you feel connected. Another one that I have is, as a spiritual leader, again, it's not the 9 to 5. You have to be able to say, I'm going to be a leader in everything that I do, because you never know who's watching and you never know when you're going to inspire that person to follow you. And I think every relationship and connection we make comes back around. And so it's important to always be the person that you want to be. Doesn't matter what time of day. It doesn't matter what role you're playing. It doesn't matter any of that. But how we lead spiritually is, the first part is, have you connected yourself to something spiritual? I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care what religion you associate with. I don't care who you call your God. What I do care is that you can see that there's something bigger and better and greater than you that can give you strength, that could give you encouragement, that has inspired you to follow. So you know an example of what to be. And I call myself a Christian. I believe in a very big and great God, and I am very unashamed by it. One of the things I do is, I am not the evangelical type. I can't go around and try to convert people. It's not my style, and it's also not my gift. There are some people that have it as a spiritual gift, and it's not mine. But what my spiritual gift is and how I connect to people is, I'm unashamed about it, and I am flawed through it, and I recognize it, and it just gives me something better. Therapists, we all go to them. We say, hey, here's my big suitcase of baggage. Let's unpack this. And then they have to deal with it. But even therapists have therapists. So even leaders need leaders. And it's just something to always remember, that when you're acting in the spiritual plane, is, are you Are you acting out your values? Are you calling yourself out when you go against your values? And are you able to just have your specific beliefs in whatever they are? And I think when you are acting in a spiritual position, it's just saying that I'm okay in my discomfort, knowing that presenting my spiritual beliefs might be something that isn't going to be accepted by others, but that's okay, because our job is to be an example for those that are looking for an example. And so that's kind of one way that we lead. Another one, actually, I want to pull this back into my spiritual beliefs real quick. One of the things is I've never been someone who has been open about my faith or anything like that. I was always kind of embarrassed to bring it up because I didn't know how. I wasn't prepared to have to defend it if somebody asked me about it. And I just felt like, you know what, this is my little treasure. I'm going to keep it next to me, and I don't want anybody to touch it, steal it, break it, or anything. And then just kind of over some years, I matured into my comfort in my faith, and I have become unashamed about it. And I'm open to certain things and say things, and it's no big deal. Well, how this impacted my professional leadership is I've had a couple different experiences. One specifically was I was hiring a team of people, and I interviewed somebody, and they were incredible. I thought they were perfect. I'm like, I need to hire this person like on the spot. However, I worked for the government at the time, so it took a few weeks. But I saw something in this person, and I really wanted to hire them. Well, later I came to find out, once they became an employee and they were on board, they reached out to me and just said, you know, I did my research before I came into my interview, and I saw that you were the hiring manager. And thanks to Google, you can just Google somebody's name, find out whatever you want to and whatever they post on social media. And what he saw was that I was a woman of faith or a woman of belief, and he felt called to that or connected to it. And so he had a couple other job offers around the same time, and he purposely chose this job because he wanted a leader that was comfortable in their faith. And the thing is, he's not even the same faith as me at all. We have slightly different beliefs, but it was something that he was drawn to. And I just think about that. This is why you have to be able to be a leadership in every avenue, because you're going to be seen when you're not expecting it. And how you represent yourself at all times is going to determine the type of people that you're attracting and the type of people that are choosing to follow. I ended up having, very great relationships with a lot of the people on my team. The ones that felt comfortable discussing spirituality were great. The ones that wanted to stick to professional, I'm happy to stick to professional. The biggest thing with that was just meeting them where they were at and what they needed. And the very, very last example is what kind of a leader you are personally and relationally. And this is the hard one, because this is where we start to take off our layers a little bit. Whatever hats we wear, whatever masks we put on, we strip them down with the people that we're closest to. And the reason why we do that is because we're comfortable. And so the raw, authentic parts of ourselves come out. And not only that, but when you're in the 9-to-5, you're in a very specific role professionally. And so you put on your professional jacket. When you are around others in your spiritual thing, you guys are connected on something else. And so that's, your faith jacket, you've got that on. But when you have close relationships, you just take it off. You don't put on the friend jacket. There's not a friend jacket, because you're usually yourself. And that's where we see our flaws. That's where we see our vulnerabilities. And so when you are leading as a friend, as you are leading as a wife or a husband or a mom, dad, and whatever role you're in for the personal, you have to remember that everybody's looking. And again, it's going to be seen by people outside of that relation circle. People are going to see how you interact with your children. People are going to see how you interact with the guy at the gas station. People are going to see how you treat your server. And you always have to live within your values and how you treat others. But more than that, how you listen to others. And a lot of the times, once we're done with the professional, once we're done with the spiritual, we say, okay, well, now I need myself to be fed. And we turn off, how can I serve you? And we go into, how can I be served? And the hard part is that we begin putting expectations on our friends and our family and saying, I need you. And we forget that they still need us too. And so we can't turn that switch all the way off. We still have to be able to say, how can I serve you? You walk around, and the worst fights I've ever been in with my husband, and we have a great relationship, but every time I've ever been, let's just say, maybe not fair and a little angry, it was because I was demanding to be served and I wasn't being specific about what it is that I need. And through that process, I was ignoring his needs. And both of us are sitting here yelling and saying the same thing. You're not hearing me. And so it just reminds me that when I'm engaging with my friends, when I'm engaging with my family, when I'm engaging with strangers, am I always in the listening mode? There's the Bible verse, the quick to listen, slow to speak, slower to anger. And that's come up so much in my life lately. And when I talk about personally and relationally, where we're at as a society right now, whether you're on a side, whether you're not on a side, whether your heart's been changed, whether it hasn't been changed, there's a lot of hate that is going around, and there's a lot of words that are being put out there. And we have an opportunity to just listen. We don't have to defend ourselves. We don't have to take up arms. But the big thing is just be quick to listen and slow to anger, slow to speak. And I try to treat all of my personal relationships that way, because I know when I am somebody that is going to listen to what it is that you need and how I can serve you, then I know that when I am leading that, it's an example I'm setting for my friends and for my family. And I can have faith that they'll take something from that. And then maybe they will learn to how to listen to me and what my needs are, without me having to say, I need you, or me getting mad when I feel like I'm not being heard. And so when you have those three things and you tackle those leadership components, it becomes a lifestyle. And it is no longer a leadership role. It's a leadership lifestyle. And everything's easier because you are who you are throughout all of it, without putting demands on people, with still inspiring others to action and inspiring them to want to be bigger, better versions of themselves, because they see you constantly challenging yourself to be a bigger, better version of yourself, and dying to yourself to serve those that are around you. And I want to share that with you guys, because after 5 o'clock, don't turn it off. That's the hardest part, is when you want to be a leader, when you want to be an authority, is it doesn't end at 5 o'clock. And so just keep going, and don't forget, you're always leading. That's it.
I love it. Thank you so much, Rachel. You're amazing. Do we want to see if there's any comments in there for questions and stuff on the Facebook Live, or are you?
Yeah.
Okay, one second real quick. Let me look and see if there's any there. So I'm super excited that you're able to speak on leadership, because it seems like that's one of the most difficult things that people are dealing with right now is how to lead in this complete and utter chaos that is the world right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that this is such a valuable and needed topic right now. So thank you so much, Rachel, for bringing in and talking about such a very valuable thing. Kelly, did you have any questions?
I have any questions, but just a comment, like coming to a personal one, it's definitely, for me, the hardest. when it comes to the personal. And like, I've definitely grown as far as professional with Paul, but I think a lot of people, the personal, like she said, don't stop at 5 o'clock is the hardest for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hear you, especially.
Day,
yeah, we have this challenge too, because and I say this as a woman, and I'm speaking on a woman because I am not a man, and so I don't know some of their challenges. But as a woman, we are almost programmed to give and give and give everything that we have. Like we give our bodies when we are growing our babies. We give our bodies more when we've birthed our babies. We give our time, we give our identity. And so we finally get to a point where we feel like we can say, I need a break from giving. And so we end up pulling back so far. And what that does is it just creates a divide, saying, I'm not listening to your needs anymore because I need to be served. And your need is still there. And it's so true. Like, it's okay to have the need to be served by your loved ones and your family. But being able to say, like, that divide where you start to flip the switch it's not an on and off, it's a dimmer, and just keep it on low, because the best way to do it is we serve others for them to be able to recognize our needs first.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Rachel. And thanks so much for joining us today at Empower Hour, my beautiful, wonderful ladies of Empower. All right, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the live now. Awesome.